I'm Open Fifth, and what's on my mind today is why UK public services should look at open source first. So Andrew and I recently did a video from the Open Source Founders Summit in Paris, where we had the opportunity to meet a representative from Open UK. If you don't know Open UK, they are a UK not-for-profit organisation who are dedicated to promoting open source software and open data. And they do this in a number of ways, including producing reports, running conferences, and working with the UK government to ensure that open source policy remains at the forefront of UK technology strategy. And I don't really want to spend any time talking in detail about the value for money proposition that open software offers. The FUD, or fear, uncertainty and doubt about open source software, has long been dismissed. So if you do still believe that, you're on the wrong side of the argument. And there are clearly cost savings and value for taxpayers of using open source, particularly when you look at the total cost of ownership over a longer period of time. For example, one of our public libraries joined us back in 2011. The overall savings over that period of time, compared to what they were using previously for their proprietary software, are substantial and considerably less than if they'd migrated to another proprietary vendor at that time. More importantly though, the fact that they have been with us on Koa for almost 15 years speaks volumes about their relationship with open source software and Koa itself. And when we are tendering for library projects, we often discuss internally how much to focus on open source. For us, of course, it is a big deal because we live it every day. We believe in the community benefits, the benefits to us of working with it and the benefits it brings to libraries. However, for libraries, do they really actually care? They just want the best system for the job. And libraries repeatedly show that Koa and Aspen are the best tools for the job. The incredible quality and depth of both Koa and Aspen mean that it's loved and trusted by over 18,000 libraries globally. And we sometimes find that in the final moments of decision making, libraries can't quite take that final step to select open source. After all, no one ever got fired for buying IBM, as they say, and yet we also hear about buyer's regret. The quote about IBM, of course, has been around for a long time and relates to what some people feel about risk aversion and ownership of decision making. But breaking this down further, let's look at what is at stake when choosing open source. Well, firstly, 18,000 libraries around the world are successfully using Koa. So therefore, shouldn't the phrase be, no one got fired for buying Koa? If your proprietary software vendor is saying, don't trust open source, then you could perhaps explain that 96% of code bases analysed contained open source software, according to the 2023 Synopsys Open Source Security and Risk Analysis report. In 2002, according to research done by Open UK, over a quarter, 27% of the value of UK's tech sector business was open source, which equates to £13.59 billion. And Open UK's research also found that the UK's public sector is heavily adopting open source, and just over half have now developed policies to make open source the preference. The UK government's policy reflects how important they see open source. The UK's National Data Strategy undertakes an open by default policy in terms of data. And of course, open source software lines perfectly with the principles of open data. In addition, the Technology Code of Practice states open source first for software. Software should be open source and designed to allow access in a platform agnostic way, it says. We're also now seeing a big shift in the strategy of the EU. There's a growing movement towards digital sovereignty or digital autonomy, and this is driven really by a desire to reduce reliance on non-European, which is of course often US-based tech giants for critical digital infrastructure and services. Their open source software strategy 2020 to 2023 says think open. For example, the French and German governments have collaborated to create new open source alternatives to Google Docs, called, somewhat unimaginatively, Docs. So choosing open source aligns with values of transparency, democratic accountability and public trust, which are central to public services and of course to libraries. Public services can unlock all the benefits I've discussed and align with the government's own strategic direction. And remember, no one ever got fired for buying Koa. So if you don't believe it, go and speak to any one of our public sector librarians in public libraries, UK government agencies, colleges, the NHS. They will tell you how they backed themselves and backed open source and now benefit from being part of a wider community who are not only enjoying great software functionality and integration with third-party systems, but are directly influencing the direction of that software with their own ideas and requirements. The library really is open.